Did you know that India's rapid rise as a global powerhouse has sparked envy, tension, and even hostility from some nations? From economic competition to geopolitical rivalries, certain countries are not thrilled about India's progress in 2025. In this video, we're diving into the 8 countries that, for various reasons, aren't cheering for India's success. Stick around until the end, because number 1 will absolutely shock you. We've poured a ton of effort into this video to bring you the most engaging and informative content. So if you love learning about global dynamics, hit that subscribe button and let's get started. First up, let's talk about Pakistan. The rivalry between India and Pakistan is no secret, rooted in decades of territorial disputes, particularly over Kashmir. In 2025, tensions escalated after a deadly attack in Indian-administered Kashmir on April 22, killing 26 tourists, which India blamed on Pakistan-based groups. India responded with airstrikes on alleged militant hideouts, sparking a brief but intense conflict. Pakistan's military, bolstered by Chinese-made jets, claimed to have downed Indian aircraft, though India's General Anil Chouhan denied the extent of losses. This clash, followed by India's suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty, has deepened mistrust. Pakistan's leadership, under General Asim Munir, has seen a surge in domestic support, signaling a hardening stance against India's growing influence. This isn't just about borders. It's about Pakistan's struggle to keep pace with India's economic and military ascent. Next, we have China. While China and India have recently resumed direct flights and trade cooperation after a 2020 border clash, Beijing remains wary of India's growing global clout. In 2025, China's state media celebrated the reported success of its J-10C jets in the India-Pakistan conflict, subtly flexing its military influence through Pakistan. India's push to become a manufacturing hub and its investments in stealth fighter programs, like the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft approved in May 2025, directly challenged China's dominance in Asia. Beijing's quiet support for Pakistan and its Belt and Road initiatives in India's neighboring countries show it's not exactly rooting for India's rise. The competition for regional supremacy is real, and China's keeping a close eye on India's every move. Coming in at number 6 is Canada. You might be surprised, but Canada-India relations took a hit in 2023 when Canada alleged India's involvement in the assassination of a Sikh separatist in British Columbia. India denied this and accused Canada of sheltering Sikh extremists. While a new Canadian government in 2025 has raised hopes for a reset, the diplomatic chill lingers. India's Global Charm offensive, sending delegations to 33 countries, including Canada, shows its concern about losing Western support. Canada's cautious stance reflects unease with India's assertive foreign policy and its handling of minority issues, making it a reluctant partner in India's progress. Number 5 is Australia. While not an outright adversary, Australia has concerns about India's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific, especially through the Quad alliance with the US, Japan, and India. Australia values India as a counterweight to China, but is wary of India's independent streak, like its refusal to fully align with Western sanctions or policies. In 2025, Australia's media has questioned India's aggressive military posturing in the Pakistan conflict, reflecting unease about India's rapid defense modernization, including its $470 million drone investment. Australia wants a stable region, and India's bold moves sometimes stir tension. At number 4, we have Sri Lanka. This island nation has a complex relationship with India. While economically dependent on India for trade and aid, Sri Lanka has leaned toward China for infrastructure investments, like the Belt and Road projects. In 2025, India's growing naval presence in the Indian Ocean, coupled with its diplomatic push to counter China's influence, has put Sri Lanka in a tough spot. Colombo fears being overshadowed by India's regional ambitions, and local sentiments often view India's aid as a tool for dominance rather than partnership. This love-hate dynamic makes Sri Lanka uneasy about India's progress. Moving to number 3, Bangladesh. Historically, India played a key role in Bangladesh's independence, but recent years have seen strains. In 2025, Bangladesh's government has expressed concerns over India's water-sharing policies, especially after India's suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty raised fears about similar moves on shared rivers like the Ganges. Bangladesh's growing ties with China, including military and economic partnerships, signal a shift away from India's orbit. Dhaka's elites worry that India's economic boom and regional clout could marginalize Bangladesh, fueling quiet resentment. This shift has prompted Bangladesh to diversify its diplomatic options, strengthening ties with ASEAN and Gulf nations. Meanwhile, India has increased outreach efforts, hoping to counter China's growing influence in Dhaka. The relationship now stands at a crossroads, shaped by strategic calculations on both sides. Number 2 is Nepal. Despite cultural ties, Nepal often feels like the smaller sibling overshadowed by India's dominance. In 2025, Nepal's government has pushed back against India's influence over its hydropower projects and trade routes, seeking closer ties with China to balance the scales. Border disputes, like the 2020 Kalapani issue, continue to stoke tensions. Nepal's media frequently portrays India as a meddling neighbor, and public sentiment reflects frustration with India's economic and political leverage. Nepal's not openly hostile, but it's not cheering for India's rise either. India, in turn, walks a diplomatic tightrope, aiming to maintain regional goodwill while asserting its strategic interests. Military cooperation exists, but it's cautious and calculated. As Nepal diversifies its alliances, India faces the challenge of staying relevant without overstepping. And now, the number one country that hates to see India progressing, Maldives. This might shock you, but the Maldives has become a surprising hotspot of anti-India sentiment in 2025. The India Out campaign, which gained traction a few years ago, has resurfaced with vigor. The Maldives government, leaning heavily on Chinese investments for tourism and infrastructure, sees India's growing naval presence and regional influence as a threat to its sovereignty. In early 2025, protests in Maldives criticized India's alleged interference in domestic politics, and the government's pivot to China for defense deals has widened the rift. India's push for a stronger Indian Ocean presence, including naval exercises near Maldivian waters, has fueled fears of encirclement. The Maldives' small size doesn't diminish its strategic importance, and its resentment toward India's rise is louder than you'd expect. So there you have it, the 8 countries that, for reasons ranging from geopolitics to historical grudges, aren't exactly fans of India's incredible progress in 2025. From Pakistan's intense rivalry to the Maldives' surprising pushback, these dynamics shape India's global journey. Did any of these surprise you? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into global affairs. We put our heart into this content, so share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next video.